In the rich tapestry of Yoruba cosmology, life and death are not opposing forces, but complementary aspects of an eternal dance. According to the extensive research of Pierre Verger, one of the most respected scholars of Yoruba culture, the Yoruba people understand existence as a continuous cycle where death is merely a transition, not a termination. The first lesson from our ancestors teaches us that consciousness is eternal. The Yoruba concept of emi, the life force or soul, cannot be destroyed. It simply transforms, moving from one state of being to another. This understanding fundamentally changes how we approach both living and dying. When someone passes in Yoruba tradition, they are said to have returned home, otilosi ile, suggesting that earthly existence is temporary residence, while the spiritual realm is our true dwelling place. This perspective eliminates the fear that often accompanies thoughts of mortality in Western cultures. Juana Elbein dos Santos, in her groundbreaking work on Yoruba cosmology, explains that the ancestors viewed death as graduation rather than termination. Just as a student moves from one grade to another, the soul progresses through different levels of existence, gaining wisdom and spiritual elevation with each transition. This cyclical understanding extends to daily life as well. Each day we experience small deaths, the end of childhood, the conclusion of relationships, the completion of projects, followed by rebirths and new beginnings. The Yoruba teach us to embrace these transitions as natural and necessary for growth. The practical application of this wisdom involves releasing our attachment to permanence. When we understand that change is the only constant, we can navigate life's inevitable transitions with grace rather than resistance. We learn to honor endings as sacred spaces where new possibilities are born. This first lesson invites us to shift our perspective from linear thinking to cyclical understanding, recognizing that every ending contains the seeds of a new beginning. Chapter 2. Ori, your personal destiny and divine blueprint. The second profound lesson from Yoruba wisdom centers on the concept of Ori, perhaps one of the most sophisticated understandings of personal destiny found in any spiritual tradition. Reginaldo Prandi's extensive research reveals that Ori represents both our personal deity and our individual destiny, chosen before birth in the presence of Olodumare, the Supreme Being. According to Yoruba cosmology, before each soul incarnates on earth, it kneels before Olodumare and chooses its destiny. This choice includes the circumstances of birth, the challenges to be faced, the lessons to be learned, and even the manner and timing of death. This selection is made with full divine consciousness. Though this memory is veiled upon birth, your Ori is both your guide and your responsibility. It contains the blueprint of your life's purpose, your natural talents, and the specific path that will lead to your spiritual evolution. Unlike fatalistic concepts of destiny, the Yoruba understanding emphasizes that while the general framework is chosen, how you navigate within that framework determines your success and fulfillment. The ancestors taught that honoring your Ori requires deep self-knowledge and authentic living. When you align with your true nature and purpose, life flows with greater ease and meaning. Obstacles become opportunities for growth rather than random misfortunes. This alignment is achieved through practices like meditation, divination, and careful attention to the signs and synchronicities that guide your path. Juana Elbein dos Santos emphasizes that Ori worship is central to Yoruba spiritual practice. Regular offerings to your Ori, simple gestures like placing cool water on your head or offering prayers of gratitude, strengthen the connection between your conscious mind and your divine blueprint. Understanding Ori transforms how we view both success and failure. Challenges are not punishments, but opportunities to fulfill our chosen destiny. When we trust in our Ori and work in harmony with our divine blueprint, we discover that we have everything we need to accomplish our soul's mission. This wisdom teaches us that we are not victims of circumstance, but co-creators of our destiny, working in partnership with divine intelligence to fulfill our highest potential. Chapter 3. The Sacred Community of Ancestors. The third lesson reveals the Yoruba understanding of death as joining an eternal community rather than facing isolation. Pierre Verger's research demonstrates that in Yoruba cosmology, the deceased become egungun, ancestral spirits who maintain active relationships with the living, offering guidance, protection, and wisdom. This ancestral community is not a distant, unreachable realm, but a parallel dimension that intersects with daily life. The ancestors are consulted for major decisions, invoked for protection, and honored through regular ceremonies and offerings. Death, therefore, is not separation, but transformation into a different type of relationship with loved ones. The Yoruba teach that becoming an ancestor is not automatic. It must be earned through how one lives and how one is remembered. Those who live with integrity, contribute to their community, and maintain spiritual awareness become powerful ancestors. Those who live selfishly or harmfully may struggle in the transition or become restless spirits requiring healing. This understanding profoundly impacts how Yoruba people approach living. Every action is considered not only for its immediate consequences, but for its effect on one's ancestral status. The question becomes, how will this choice affect my ability to guide and protect future generations? Juana Elbein dos Santos explains that ancestral communication occurs through dreams, divination, and synchronicities. The ancestors speak through the patterns of daily life, offering guidance to those who know how to listen. This creates a sense of never being truly alone, even in the most challenging circumstances. The practical application involves developing a relationship with your ancestors while living. This might include creating an ancestral altar, learning family history, or simply taking time to acknowledge and thank those who came before you. Regular communication with ancestors provides access to accumulated wisdom and spiritual support. For those whose family history is unknown or traumatic, the Yoruba tradition teaches that you can connect with the collective ancestors of humanity or adopt spiritual lineages that resonate with your soul. The key is recognizing that you are part of an eternal community that transcends physical death. Chapter 4. Ace, the divine power that flows through all life. The fourth lesson introduces us to Ace, pronounced A-Shai, the divine life force that flows through all existence. According to the research of respected scholars like Reginaldo Prandi and Juana Elbein dos Santos, Ace is both the creative power of the universe and the spiritual energy that each individual can cultivate and direct. Ace is not merely a concept, but a living reality that can be accumulated, shared, and transmitted. Every word spoken with intention, every ritual performed with reverence, and every act of kindness increases the ace in the world. Conversely, negative actions, harmful words, and spiritual neglect diminish this divine energy. The Yoruba understanding teaches that death occurs when ace withdraws from the physical body, but the accumulated ace of a lifetime continues to influence the world through the person's legacy, their impact on others, and their ancestral presence. This means that how we live directly affects not only our own spiritual development, but the spiritual health of our entire community. Pierre Verger's documentation of Yoruba practices reveals that Ace can be cultivated through various means: truthful speech, generous actions, spiritual practices, artistic expression, and maintaining harmony with nature. Each of these activities increases our personal ace and contributes to the collective spiritual wealth of humanity. The concept of ace transforms our understanding of power. True power is not domination over others, but the ability to channel divine energy for healing, creation, and positive transformation. Those with strong ace become natural leaders, healers, and wisdom keepers in their communities. In practical terms, cultivating ace involves being mindful of the energy we bring to every interaction. Speaking words of encouragement rather than criticism, offering help rather than judgment, and approaching challenges with faith rather than fear all increase our ace. This accumulated spiritual energy becomes our true wealth, more valuable than material possessions. The Yoruba teach that at death we are evaluated not by what we owned, but by how much ace we cultivated and shared. This perspective encourages us to invest in spiritual development and community service rather than purely material pursuits. Understanding ace empowers us to see ourselves as active participants in the divine creative process, capable of channeling universal energy for positive change. Chapter 5. The Wisdom of Ifa and Divine Communication. The fifth lesson explores the sophisticated divination system of Ifa, which Yoruba tradition considers the voice of Orunmila, the Orisha of wisdom and divine knowledge. Through the extensive research of scholars like Juana Elbein dos Santos and Pierre Verger, we understand that Ifa provides a framework for navigating life's complexities and preparing for the transition of death. Ifa consists of 256 primary stories, Odu, that contain the accumulated wisdom of countless generations. These stories address every possible human situation, offering guidance on relationships, career decisions, health challenges, spiritual development, and preparation for death. The system recognizes that while each person's journey is unique, the fundamental patterns of human experience are universal. The wisdom of Ifa teaches that life's challenges are not random, but follow recognizable patterns that can be understood and navigated with proper guidance. Through divination, individuals can gain insight into their current circumstances, understand the spiritual forces at work in their lives, and receive specific advice for moving forward in harmony with their destiny. Regarding death, Ifa provides profound teachings about timing, preparation, and the continuation of consciousness. The system acknowledges that while the general framework of our lives is predetermined, we have significant influence over how we experience and respond to our circumstances. This includes how we prepare for and experience the transition of death. Juana Elbein dos Santos emphasizes that Ifa divination is not fortune-telling, but spiritual counseling. It helps individuals understand their relationship with the divine forces, Orishas, that govern different aspects of existence. This understanding enables people to live in greater harmony with natural and spiritual laws. The practical application of Ifa wisdom involves developing discernment and seeking guidance when facing important decisions. This might involve formal consultation with a trained diviner, Babalawo or Ianifa, or simply cultivating the ability to recognize the signs and patterns that life presents. Ifa teaches that wisdom is not accumulated through academic study alone, but through careful observation of life's patterns, honest self-reflection, and willingness to learn from both success and failure. This accumulated wisdom becomes invaluable preparation for the ultimate transition of death. Chapter 6. The Orishas as archetypal forces of nature. The sixth lesson reveals how the Orishas, the divine forces of nature in Yoruba cosmology, provide a comprehensive map for understanding both life and death. Research by scholars like Pierre Verger and Juana Elbein dos Santos shows that the Orishas represent archetypal energies that govern all aspects of existence, from birth to death and beyond. Each Orisha embodies specific qualities and governs particular domains of life. Yemoja rules the waters and motherhood. Ogun governs iron and technology. Oshun presides over love and rivers. Shango controls thunder and justice. And Oya commands the winds and guards the gates of death. Understanding these forces helps us navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and purpose. The Orishas teach us that death is not the domain of evil forces, but a natural transition governed by divine intelligence. Oya, the Orisha most closely associated with death, is not feared, but revered as the compassionate guide who helps souls transition from physical to spiritual existence. She represents the fierce love that sometimes requires letting go. This understanding transforms our relationship with the forces that govern our lives. Rather than seeing ourselves as victims of random events, we learn to recognize the archetypal patterns at work in our experiences. Challenges become opportunities to develop specific qualities, and successes become expressions of our alignment with divine forces. The Yoruba teach that we each have a primary Orisha that governs our destiny, along with secondary Orishas that influence different aspects of our lives. Discovering and honoring these relationships provides guidance for living authentically and preparing for death consciously. Practical application involves studying the qualities of different Orishas and recognizing their influence in your life. When facing challenges related to love, you might invoke the wisdom of Oshun. When dealing with conflict, you might call upon the justice of Shango. When preparing for major transitions, you might seek the guidance of Oya. The Orishas also teach us that death is not uniform, but varies according to individual nature and circumstances. Some souls transition peacefully like gentle rain, others dramatically like lightning, and still others gradually like the changing seasons. Understanding these patterns helps us prepare for and accept the unique way our own transition will unfold. Chapter 7. Ubuntu and Interconnectedness. I am because we are. The seventh lesson, while more commonly associated with Southern African philosophy, finds deep resonance in Yoruba understanding of community and interconnectedness. The principle that I am because we are reflects the Yoruba belief that individual existence is meaningless without community connection, and this understanding profoundly shapes their approach to both living and dying. In Yoruba cosmology, documented extensively by researchers like Juana Elbein dos Santos, the individual soul is understood as part of a larger spiritual community that includes the living, the ancestors, the unborn, and the divine forces. This interconnectedness means that every action affects the whole, and every person's spiritual development contributes to the collective evolution of humanity. This understanding transforms the meaning of death from individual termination to community transition. When someone dies, the community doesn't just lose a member, it gains an ancestor. The deceased person's wisdom, love, and spiritual energy become available to guide and protect future generations. Death becomes a graduation into expanded service rather than an ending of contribution. The practical implications are profound. Yoruba culture emphasizes that we prepare for death not just individually, but collectively. The way we treat elders, the stories we preserve, the wisdom we share, and the spiritual practices we maintain all contribute to the quality of our eventual transition and our effectiveness as ancestors. Pierre Verger's research reveals that Yoruba funeral practices reflect this understanding of interconnectedness. Death rituals are community events that celebrate the person's contributions, ensure proper spiritual transition, and strengthen the bonds between the living and ancestral realms. The community takes responsibility for helping the soul navigate its transition successfully. This wisdom challenges the individualistic approach to death common in Western cultures. Instead of viewing death as a private, personal event, the Yoruba see it as a community responsibility, requiring collective support, ritual participation, and ongoing relationship maintenance. For modern practitioners, this lesson emphasizes the importance of building and maintaining spiritual community throughout life. The relationships we cultivate, the wisdom we share, and the love we express become the foundation for our eventual transition and our continued connection with those we leave behind. The interconnectedness principle also teaches us that healing our own spiritual wounds contributes to healing the collective, while spiritual growth benefits not just ourselves, but our entire community across all dimensions of existence. Chapter 8. living each day as sacred preparation. The eighth and final lesson synthesizes all previous teachings into a practical approach to daily living that honors both life and death as sacred experiences. The Yoruba understanding, as documented by scholars like Reginaldo Prandi and Juana Elbein dos Santos, teaches that every day is an opportunity to prepare for our eventual transition while fully embracing the gift of physical existence. This preparation is not morbid preoccupation with death, but joyful engagement with life's sacred purpose. Each morning becomes an opportunity to align with our Ori, cultivate Ace, honor our ancestors, and contribute to our community's spiritual wealth. Each evening becomes a time for reflection, gratitude, and preparation for the small death of sleep that mirrors the larger transition to come. The Yoruba teach specific practices for sacred daily living, beginning each day with acknowledgement of the divine forces, speaking words that increase rather than diminish A's, treating every encounter as an opportunity to serve the collective good, and ending each day with gratitude for lessons learned and growth achieved. This approach transforms ordinary activities into spiritual practices. Cooking becomes an offering to nourish both body and spirit. Work becomes service to the community. Relationships become opportunities to practice divine love, and challenges become initiations that develop spiritual strength. Juana Elbein dos Santos emphasizes that this daily spiritual practice creates what the Yoruba call good death, a transition that occurs when the soul has fulfilled its chosen destiny and accumulated sufficient wisdom to serve effectively as an ancestor. Good death is not about timing or circumstances, but about spiritual readiness and completion. The practical application involves developing daily rituals that connect you with your spiritual purpose. Morning meditation or prayer, regular offerings to ancestors or divine forces, conscious attention to the energy you bring to interactions, and evening reflection on the day's spiritual lessons. This final lesson teaches us that death preparation is life enhancement. When we live each day conscious of our spiritual purpose and eventual transition, we naturally make choices that align with our highest good and contribute to the collective welfare. The Yoruba wisdom ultimately reveals that the fear of death dissolves when we understand our eternal nature and live in harmony with divine principles. Death becomes not an enemy to be defeated, but a teacher to be honored and a transition to be embraced with faith and preparation. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the profound wisdom of the Yoruba ancestors. These 8 lessons offer timeless guidance for living with purpose and facing death with courage and understanding. Which of these lessons resonates most deeply with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what country you're watching from. If you found value in this exploration of African wisdom traditions, please subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell for more content that honors the spiritual teachings of our ancestors. Remember, you are part of an eternal community. Your life has sacred purpose, and death is not an ending, but a transformation into expanded service and love.